So the music may be pumping in the APC with videos of an apparently healthy Bola Ahmed Tinubu jumping on an exercise bike to prove he's fit. But is anybody in the APC actually dancing? Because beyond the concerns over Mr. Tinubu's health amid rumors of an undisclosed ailment, his party, the APC, is now confronted with perhaps even bigger problems following a federal high court ruling in Abuja which nullified the nomination of Governor Oyetola in the 2022 Osun election. The court agreed with the submission of the PDP that the man who submitted their names to the Electoral Commission, INEC, Governor Mai Mala Buni, contravened the provisions of Section 183 of the Nigerian Constitution when he held dual executive positions as the governor of Yobe State and the chairman of the National Caretaker Committee of the APC. The provisions of that constitutional clause are clear, that a governor shall not, during the period he holds office, hold any other executive office or paid employment in any capacity whatsoever. The APC has already said that it's appealing against the ruling. But what happens if it loses? Could we see the disqualification of all the APC's candidates in the 2023 presidential election? Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by the leading APC member and former presidential advisor, Senator Ita Enang. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
And you've been warning of this eventuality, haven't you? Tell us more about what raised the red flags for you.
Well, immediately the judgment in the Akeredolu case was delivered, and my friend and brother, the Honorable Minister of State for Labour, now the spokesperson of APC campaign, presidential campaigns, raised a 2-paragraph warning. I and my friend, distinguished Senator Femi Ojudu, political advisor to the president in the office of the vice president, looked at the judgment, even the synopsis of what was delivered, and as much as was raised in the press then, we didn't have the judgment. But I was able to get a lot of it from those who were present, and as much as the from the briefs, because the court said we've agreed with this. Now, I issue a statement jointly signed by me and Senator Femi Ojudu that the party should suspend every action that it intends to take. This was sometimes in the last week of July, inching into August. And that's when they were planning the ward, chapter, states, and national congresses and conventions. And we said, look, let us suspend every action and take a look at the judgment of the court and see the extent to which it affects the things that we have done already and we are about to do. Because I read and I listened to one aspect that the court said, and I consider that it was a narrowly split judgment of 4 in favor and 3 dissenting justices of the Supreme Court. And this was the full bench of the Supreme Court. And I was worried. So we considered that it was necessary to advise the party that we should step back, stop conducting the World Congresses up to the end, because if the court held that Mai Mala Buni and the other officers, Mai Mala Buni, had no power to sign and sponsor a candidate, that it became dangerous. Later, when I got the full judgment, I read the full judgment of Justice Akomaya, Emmanuel Akomaya Agim, and I discovered that he said in the concluding part of the judgment, in the last one page of the judgment, that the question of the capacity of Mai Mala Buni to be an officer or chairman of the party was a question that was too narrow, that was too large for the narrow jurisdiction of the Election Petition Tribunal to handle. So it did not go into it.
So it's a constitutional question.
Yes, that is a constitutional question that is too narrow for that tribunal, for that election petition to have handled. And that is the only reason that they said, look, we allow the appeal.
And that's a warning, a red flag.
Yes, Akeredolu narrowly. In fact, he escaped by 99.99%.
A whisk
of grace. Now, I urge the party, let us look at the entire judgment. All the justices agreed, the 7 justices of the Supreme Court, that the Mai Mala Buni ought to have held the position. But some persons advised that since there is a majority judgment, I said, look, go and even listen to read the dissenting judgments of His Lordship, Honorable Justice Odili, and read the judgment of, I think, Ejembieko, the dissenting judgment. 3 of them dissented. And that they gave very, very valid reasons. Now, in the weeks after the party descended so much on me, I now made a memo to the party on the 3rd of September 2021. And the memo reads, I will just read a part of it.
Yeah, briefly.
Just briefly. I said, shutting down. Oh my God, I'm shutting runabout.
Yeah, well, that happens
I told the party that, look, the majority and the minority judgments have agreed on the incapacity of Mai Mala Buni, and that we should take both judgments and then take a decision, and that we should not agree. The main thing I said was that we should not think that it is only the Mai Mala Buni that is disqualified, that it is the entire caretaker committee of the party that is disqualified.
Which has major implications.
Yes, which has major implications. That one, let us swallow our vomit. I beg your pardon. I apologize if the words are not very airworthy. Let us swallow our pride that the national chairman has resigned. Let us follow the process that the constitution says. Bring back the next person to chair the NWC. And I think at that time we lost the deputy national chairman who from Oyo State, who was to be the former governor, who was to be the next person in line. And I said, look, take the next person in line, reconstitute the party, and then give them just 3 months to conduct congresses and conventions. This is the only way we are likely to come out of the
But that fell on deaf ears.
It fell on deaf ears, and they descended more on me. And other people joined. My friend Kayode Ajulo joined. In fact, a group of us, had in fact a secretariat in one place, I won't mention it, where we put in our brains, put in our research body, and put in a pressure group, which was to meet with the national leadership in the government, national leadership of the party, trustees of the party, to say, look, let us not take risk or gamble with this.
Right, but they didn't listen to you. So what I need to, because you're both a lawyer and a senior member of the APC.
Yeah.
So you understand the legal implications, which is probably why you were banging the drums to say you'd better take a look at this, because this could be potentially dangerous. Yeah. So could you put on your legal hat and help us understand the implication of this latest court ruling, what it could mean for your party, the APC? How much of a challenge does it pose for the party?
Well, I believe that as a member of the party, I'm optimistic that we'll overcome it. But we're not going to overcome it as breakfast.
But what gives you that optimism? Be as stark as possible in your assessment.
One, this is the court of first instance. There is the possibility of appeal.
Yes.
There is an appeal. There's going to be
an appeal.
And up to the Supreme Court.
In process.
Well, they may look at that judgment was based on the 2010 Electoral Act as amended. So we'll have to look at the 2022 Electoral Act, under which the present judgment was based.
Yeah,
if
that's one section.
I say if there is,
because
and I repeat the word, if there is
the Constitution,
if there is a difference between that provision, and I'm afraid. Now we also have to look at the possibility of the court at the apex level looking at what it said and seeing whether there is a difference or alternative opinion. But I say, and I still said, that it was a very narrow escape for APC. And the challenge that we now have, which is bigger, is that it will go to affect the foundation of every action, all actions, including the houses of assembly, the houses of assembly, the National Assembly,
Governors,
Senate and House of Representatives,
all the
and all
way
that,
through.
that were done.
Yeah.
That were done, you know, and it's a constitutional question which we may not have, which may not be affected by the limitation of time. But again, if we take it as a pre-election matter, it would have been statute barred by the provision we said. But then the court, I remember, in the Akeredolu case, spoke of the limited jurisdiction of the Election Petition Tribunal, which means that they had opened a wider gate that even if it is not a matter of the nature, then it could still be challenged. So unless there is a limitation, then we're having a big problem.
Right.
So what I urge the party to do now?
Let's look at that problem, because that is what will scare the living daylights out of your supporters and members of your party. There are a lot of people who would like to see your presidential candidate emerge as the president of Nigeria. I mean, you're the ruling APC party. If Governor Buni does not have the power to hold another executive position, it means, doesn't it, that every decision taken by him in that capacity is null and ineffective and has no legal force and validity, including the emergence of a national candidate.
Well, the emergence of the national candidate was not conducted by Mai Mala Buni. It was conducted by the Abdullahi.
So you think he might have escaped that net?
Led executive, you know. And I had looked at the provisions of the Constitution and the law to see whether it had definitely said that the person who had to give notice of the convention had to be the chairman, but it says the party, and so the party is the functionaries of the party. And so I believe that we have escaped that.
You have an opt-out clause.
Yes, we have an opt-out clause in that provision.
But the fact that he organized the convention, what does that mean in the broader? And because you're a legal expert, but you're also a member of the party, so you understand the constitution of the party. You understand
it's difficult, but then I think we have to be careful, very careful, and we have to be very, very alert. We have to be very alert. We have to put up on beyond the thinking cap, you know, because we are not facing an individual. We are facing another political party. And this judgment was obtained by another political party contending against us.
Absolutely.
And the contending political party will be saying, look, that because all other political parties know that it is APC that will win the presidential election.
Well,
and
nobody knows
APC will win a majority of all the seats in the Senate and House of Representatives. Well, so everybody is trying to, everybody is trying to put, what we call start and some roadblocks for the APC,
I like that.
Including legal,
it's called
legislative,
a tackle.
Yes, and
they're trying to tackle you on the football field.
Yes. But we will urge the other political parties accept defeat even in advance, but let's play the ball. Let's not go after the man, because what they seem to be doing now is like going after the man.
Yeah, but you have to admit that at this point, the PDP appears to be the big beneficiary at the moment. I mean, I'm not talking about what happens subsequently, but at this material moment.
Yeah, I think we'll have to. I think the while pursuing appeal, and we accept that appeal on its own does not operate as a stay of execution. First, we should take that this was not a judgment declaring the APC not qualified to contest election. And this judgment does not affect what Abdullahi Adamu executive will do. It simply affected the previous actions of the previous government. And so to be able to large on and take us on in the present one would be very difficult for the party. Otherwise, they should have gone to court earlier. And of course, this has not opened floodgates of litigations, because this was the last set of actions or filings by the Imali Buni led executives. If you want to challenge what we've done or what we're doing, you should have challenged it before or while we were doing our conventions and congresses to produce our candidates, because there is what we call, there is what the law says, limitation.
Yeah, but it hasn't stopped the Federal High Court from making a decision.
It made a decision on what was pending.
Yes.
Before now.
Right.
Yes. And it wasn't, Oyetola, His Excellency Oyetola did not emerge in the hand of the present leadership. And the PDP or no party challenged the process of the emergence of the present leadership. So we don't seem to have a problem in our candidates in this. But my fear is if they can overcome time limit, they may be seeking to obtain those things that were done, including our candidates, our members in the legislative houses, including the Federal Capital Territory.
Okay, we're going to have to watch that very, very closely.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate your taking the time and trying to clarify some of this, although it's still...
And also being careful with my party, because we win the election. Yeah.
It's quite a legal model,
yes.
But thank you for trying to shed some light on it. And of course, Senator Ita Enang is a former presidential advisor and leading member of the APC. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.